Hey, what's up? It's Chris here from Chris's Sci-Fi Reactions. Today we're back with another Sanctuary. Last episode, really enjoyed it. I'd say let's just break that one down, as the sound on my breakdown in episode 1 was absolutely awful, to the point where I just had to cut it. Okay, so we started off with a couple of police officers attending the apartment where there seems to be a disturbance. They go in, find a kid under the bed, in which he then has this tentacle, if you like, or appendage, I think they called it, appendage. But it seems to have a mind of its own and killed the cops. We're introduced to Professor Cinnamon. No, Dr. Zimmerman, I think. And yeah, he thinks there's a kid, despite the police saying there were only 4. He believes there are 5, but obviously the kids run away. So yeah, the cops seem to be very dismissive of his, I believe they call it psychological science, or profiling, basically. We then see Dr. Zinnemann dreaming about a monster attack, and I think it's him when he's a kid. We then go to the morgue where Dr. Magnus, played by the lovely Amanda Tapping, is. Then we have the witness from the apartment come in and falsely identify a suspect. Now, this suspect had been in prison before for rape and assault, so he wasn't exactly squeaky clean, but still, falsely identifying someone, having them go to prison, isn't exactly the most ethical thing to do either. Whether I don't know, was she trying to protect the child? Not 100% sure. Or protect herself. Here we have the child on the run and a young woman sort of pursuing him. We're then introduced to this guy who ends up killing a hooker, I think. So yeah, he murdered her, sort of asking about a place that might be strange, the sanctuary. Then we have the doctor and the police officer sort of conflicting over what happened, and the officer's saying this is exactly the sort of thing that got you kicked out of the bureau, FBI. Here we have Dr. Zinnemann meet up with Dr. Magnus, or Dr. Magnus approaches him, sort of asking him to come and see what she says that it will change his world. Then we're introduced to Dee from Battlestar Galactica. The actress that played Dee is in this. I get the impression that we're not going to see her long term in this show. We might, but I don't get that impression, because she seems to be leaving, dumping him. Dr. Zinnemann then seems to proceed to the sanctuary. This guy tries teleporting in, but is literally thrown out. Then the sanctuary, which is quite large, then we find a couple of cops sort of in a underground style place, and they're attacked by this young girl. Here we have Dr. Zinnemann and Dr. Magnus sort of introducing him to the sanctuary. We have a number of what they refer to as abnormals living here. And Dr. Zimmern's obviously completely shocked. Then we're introduced to this guy, who I don't know whether he'll be a main character or not. He may or may not be. Sort of talking about a job offer for Dr. Zinnemann. Then they go down to the underground, where they meet this young girl and the boy, and then they subdue him. We find out that this young woman is Dr. Magnus's daughter. Somehow, we don't really know how, because the age difference just isn't, well, it's not right. She said you just have to accept it. Then we come here where they're talking about the kid and, you know, that Dr. Zinnemann needs to prove himself. Okay, so that was a breakdown of Sanctuary for All Part 1. If you're curious why the red bar is a cross over these, I shared my YouTube account just like my Netflix and my Stan account. They, like, if you're watching Buffy or Stargate or one of those, they have these across because the person I share the account with has already watched these, so yeah, it's not like I'm watching them again. I'm not. Okay, so that was a quick breakdown of part 1 of Sanctuary. This is Sanctuary for All Part 2. Looking forward to this. I really was a bit annoyed that the breakdown didn't work properly on part 1. I'm hoping there are no audio issues with this. The full uncut unedited reaction is available on Patreon, listed in the description below, as well as my social media accounts, Twitter and Facebook. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else. Apart from the first episode, I'll give an 8. Not sure if my score actually made it into the part 1 video, but if it didn't, and I'm giving it an 8. So let's just get straight on into part 2.
Release him. Please. Trust me. It's okay. It's okay.
Me.
Okay, fine.
None taken.
Alright, let's just calm down, alright? Will you give us some space here? It's okay.
It's a fear response, I think.
Just relax.
It would also make sense why he attacked those cops.
Okay, how come you're not trying to eat my brain anymore? I think I'm getting the hang of things here.
Primal,
It's a defense mechanism.
yeah, very...
A mind of its own.
It is not my fault.
My guess is this person that killed that woman knows Dr. Magnus.
You have your whole life ahead of you.
If only you knew.
If only you knew.
You a little cold?
Opinions
Is she
seems to be
like
divided.
Jack from Doctor Who? Can she like live forever?
I'm not usually so good with heights, but what the heck? That was real.
The life you built is the only way you can make sense of what happened to you, Will.
How can you expect me to help these creatures? One of them took everything from me.
I can respect that.
Only you can answer that.
I'm not sure I could do that.
You knew. You knew how this would affect me.
It's your choice, Will. In the end, it's a massive leap of faith.
Actually, just focus on your old man breath. That's some nasty bridge work, dude.
Little manners do not become you, my dear.
And he is so cool. For a psychopath.
All right. Enough of this. Let's get it on.
You have decent technique. Completely lacking in discipline, but impressive enough. Study the bizarre, the inexplicable.
Listen to rants from violent weirdos.
Hazardous work, indeed.
Hey, buddy.
Oh,
Nobody spikes my van.
actually, just completely forgot about him.
Only the chosen left alive. Immortals, all the holy five.
Shut up.
Thanks, buddy.
Now, he's gotta be worth something.
It'd be worth quite a lot. Because I'm assuming that means they've got a black
I'm
marker
just
on
saying
the
that if you took the
abnormal
van every now and then instead of your bike, I wouldn't have to do retrievals in the middle of the night.
community.
Well, Henry, the only vans I ride have Lord Poseidon airbrushed on the side.
What?
Vans are for losers. They're like my bike.
He looks harmless enough. Worst of the worst.
Not. Come on.
Henry. What happened?
I don't think we've actually had an on-screen meeting between those two.
Oh, Helen. Wonderful to see you again.
You know the school?
Oh, your mother and...
And I really like this guy. I know I've mentioned it several times, but... yeah, he makes a damn good villain.
I knew him well.
Your mind is poisoned, John. Through no fault of your own.
Helen Magnus, friend to nature's abominations, an enemy of common sense! Your blood, Helen!
That is creepy as. Yeah, I really like the way they do that as well, you know, sort of, as he sees things, they sort of highlight what he's seeing. Okay, I'm assuming
Sure.
he has some sort of health issue.
It's mine. Centrifuged. Pure.
If it's as simple as that, she could have just given it to him.
The same for you. Forgive me, John.
Okay, so she put something in there.
The others will come.
Okay, so he's...
Isn't true.
What's not true?
There is such a thing.
But I know you've withheld things from me.
What things, Will?
It's all right. You're safe now.
Okay, so she can't age, so she is a bit like Jack Harkness.
You were there. Weren't you? How is any of this possible?
When you work at the frontiers of science for as long as I have, the rewards and curses are unexpected. I spent all the intervening years trying to undo that mistake.
He was more than your patient, wasn't he? It's up to me. Every monster, every room, everything that crawls, flies, teleports.
Still calling a monster, though.
If I'm gonna be of any use to you, I got a lot of catching up to do.
I think
To say the least.
if he joins, he needs to stop calling them monsters.
You know, I was hoping that at least you'd be normal.
Sorry to disappoint. Is there anything else?
Was there a health plan?
No. But I can promise you the adventure of many, many lifetimes. Shall we begin?
Certainly looking forward to it. Okay, that was Sanctuary for All Part 2. Really enjoyed this one. I'm going to give it an 8 again, to keep in line with not scoring the first season too highly. You know, I think I made that mistake with Stargate SG-1 and Buffy the Vampire Slayer, so I don't want to get into that habit. Okay, so we start off basically where we were with Dr. Zinnemann going in with this big guy to deal with the boy, and we find out that it reacts to fear, basically, and that he's from the area of Chernobyl. So basically, we'll then learn sort of, oh yeah, if he's not scared, it won't cause a problem. I could understand being the boy and knowing that you'd never live a normal life. That's harsh. Then we sort of find out that this guy, this creepy villain, and one of the best villains on TV, I think, is attacking Ashley and their gun supplier, or the weapons supplier. Here we have Dr. Zinnemann and Dr. Magnus talking together absolutely on a high ledge, which would make me pass out completely. He's sort of hesitant simply because how can you work with to help when something that you're trying to help killed, a family member, took everything away from him? I could understand that. Helen says only you can choose that. Then we get this awesome fight scene between this guy and Ashley. Druitt, I think they called it. John Druitt. And the fight scene is absolutely amazing. Then we have Magnus sort of talking about, that she's afraid for others, this guy. And then they managed to subdue him, in which he actually just wanted to be captured so he could get in to the sanctuary because he couldn't teleport. Then we have him take him to the computer room, server room, whatever you want to call it, and switch off the EM field. And then he's able to teleport within the facility, and he grabs Ashley and locks her up in one of the dangerous places. Basically, we find out that he is Ashley's father, but he just wants Helen's blood to survive. I think, one of the best villains on TV I've ever seen. That being said, I haven't seen all of Buffy or Stargate, but he's definitely up there in top villains on TV. Then Ashley gets one hell of a nasty cut. Druid gets the blood and it's tainted, which I think either kills him. I hope it didn't kill him. I really hope we do see him again as a villain. Then we get Ashley out. Ashley says she underestimated Will. Will's then talking to the big guy, and the big guy says there are such a thing as monsters. Then we find out that Helen Magnus, treated Druid, and he was a lead suspect in the Ripper cases a long time ago. Was it the 1800s, late 1800s, I think they said. We get a scene where his face isn't as injured as it was seeing them in different clothing, or the period time clothing. It was weird, but actually looked pretty good in it. And then Will's basically demanding no secrets and open the entire place up to him. Okay, so that was my reaction to Sanctuary Episode 2, Season 1. Really enjoyed it. I don't think there's much more to be said. Full uncut, unedited reaction is available on Patreon, listed in the description below, as well as my social media accounts, Facebook and Twitter. And if you enjoyed this reaction, don't forget to give it a like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.